here we go, people. I don't know if it's recording or not. Let me double check. I think so. All right. Anyway, whew, this has been hard. I haven't done a live event or anything since last Thursday when Ginger passed away. I found her deceased in the basement. I'll do a live event coming up. I'm getting over it. I got her remains back. I miss my beautiful girl, the mascot. So, instead of wallowing, you know, in death, despair, I think she would want me to move on. I really do. She was my mascot. Y'all have seen her in many, many, many videos. God bless her. That's her with all her Christmas stuff last year, and we'll try to keep from crying. I've done a lot of that. So anyway, let's go ahead and try to move on with life here. All right. So anywho, life after Ginger. All right. Yeah, almost a week ago, people, I about quit. I really did. Um, I really thought about hanging the channel up, not doing any more videos, and I'll be honest with y'all, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I've neglected my fish. I have not done water changes. I barely even fed them. I haven't even really turned the lights on half the time. I decided today I have to snap out of it because that's not what she would want me to do. Because, you know, you take care of one creature, you got to take care of all your creatures, you know? And, again, all right, come on, Scott. Don't get upset, buddy. Um, but she meant everything to me. So I'm not going to get into all that. You all can read everything on there. Um, she passed awful young. Um, and again, most of the cats I get are rescue cats, and when I get them, they have issues. I mean, I know that going in. I've got Zora right now. He's a lame cat. He had a bad leg. I lost Sassy this year in was it April? Diabetes. I had to give her 2 shots of insulin a day, and she would actually run up to me to for me to give her shots, because she knew I was trying to save her life. I lost Sinbad 2 years ago to FIP, um, which is a feline disease, if you will. I won't get into it. Just look it up, FIP. I'm not going to get into all this crap, okay? I just want to move on right now. Um, and let's go from here. But anyway, she was my mascot. She will always be the mascot. I have a picture of her in the basement, a pillow, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, let's go on. Y'all don't want to hear all this stuff, I'm sure. All right. All right, there's a ton of heaters out there. What do I use? I absolutely use Aqueon Pro heaters. Why, Scott? Why? Well, number one, they're not made of glass. They're basically plastic, ceramic, if you will. Um, but take a good look at these heater guidelines. A lot of people probably don't know all this stuff, but if you look at your ambient temperature from 68 to 72, well, if you're in a basement, maybe it doesn't get a whole lot of heat, and it only gets in the winter max at 60 degrees. Well, think about it. You probably need to get it at least 10 degrees above what it is, maybe 15 degrees. Okay? This tells you how many watts you need to at least increase it. I'll go over this at the end of the video. A good rule of thumb, double everything. Double everything. In other words, let's say you got a 20 gallon, you're at 68 degrees. You got a 20 gallon, you only need to raise it 10 degrees, you need about 100 watts. I don't know. Would it hurt to go with 150 or 200 watts? See, that could be a debate. So if y'all have, any opinions on there, go ahead. I would say go with a higher wattage because it'll raise the temperature quicker and keep it steady there, and it won't run as much. But again, what do I know? But all right, let's keep going. Oops, oops, oops. Googly moogly. Aquarium pros and why. Um, well, the reason I use them, they're basically shatterproof and nearly indestructible. Okay. Um, they have a shut-off technology on there. If the water gets too low, they're pretty freaking accurate. Um, they get. I like laying them vertically or horizontally. Some aquariums I have laying on the bottom horizontally, some I got vertically. I don't know. They got suction cups on there. Um, you know, I've had bad problems with heaters made of glass before. Okay, I've tried others. Now I'm sure, like Ibrahim, I believe. Am I even pronouncing it right? Ibrahim, whatever. Those are probably great freaking heaters. Now, keep in mind, what I'm using is not cheap. Okay, um, I've definitely had glass bust. One time I walked into a fish aquarium, my 29-gallon upstairs. I don't film it very much because, well, I don't like to go up there much. There's not much to see in there anyway, other than a bunch of butt guppies. But anyway, the problem with that, it shattered in half. And I cannot believe when I was feeding the fish or put my hands in there, I was not electrocuted. Okay. Um, So the thing about glass, you find a lot of heaters, and I know other people have talked about this. 7, 8, 12 bucks, and a lot of them are like predetermined temperatures. They're supposed to, allegedly, I'm doing the quotation fingers that you can't see, go to 78 degrees or 75 degrees or whatever. Eh, doubt it. Maybe if your average room temperature is 70, it might go to 75 if you're lucky, blah, blah, blah. Um, but glass is cheap, works great if it doesn't break or crack. And, but the plastics really cannot fail for the most part, but they're expensive. And I have, oh my goodness, I got 12 tanks here, average of 25 to $30 a heater. And there you go. There's hundreds of bucks for you. All right, where am I at? Oh, googly moogly. Air pumps. What do I like? Now I don't have a central pump yet. If I keep expanding like I am, I will get a central air pump and do what everybody else does. Um, I'm not much of a hang on the back guy, but I do have a few. Nothing wrong with them. The ones I have are marine land penguins or aqua blah, clears. Um, but the thing about them, I have issues with them. Anytime I lose power, oh my goodness. Um, for some reason, the 10-gallon in the bathroom doesn't have a problem, but the two on the 29 upstairs does. The rest are run by sponges and um, pumps. Um, they won't prime themselves. I don't know why. They'll gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Maybe because the water's too low on some of the tanks versus the one that I have no idea. And that's the thing that you got to worry about. If you go on vacation and have these hang on the back filters, lose electric for, I don't know, 2 minutes. You come back from home 8 days later, even though you had your feeder set up and everything else, and the thing's going gurgle, 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 googly, biggly, whatever that sound is, and you realize you've had no filtration, no air, because believe it or not, the hang on the backs, they are kind of pumping air into your water, with the water flow, yada yada yada, but we'll kind of go away from there. So that's the main reason I don't care for them. Plus, on top of that, think about it, people. you got to plug each one of them in. They have to have electric. They don't run on anything else. So if you got 12 hang on the back filters on 12 different tanks like I would have, well, I some of them I would run more than one just for redundancy. Um, Man, that's a lot of electric versus maybe, one pump or one central air compressor running, 4 to 5 different sponges, on one power supply. Yada yada yada. Let's keep going. Um, Plus, they require a lot more maintenance. Obviously, in a hang on the back, you probably got a pre-sponge, a pre-filter sponge, maybe charcoal, maybe some kind of uh, filtration, and you got to, it goes on and on and on. You got to pull each one of those out, rinse them out. Obviously, not in tap water, people, in your, you know, filter water that you just pumped out. Which, if you're like me, I pump everything into a drain. I really don't have a way to wash things out. So, do I wash sponge filters very often? No, not really. I should. But anyway, there's a lot more maintenance involved. Plus the impellers. Oh my good, I'm not even gonna get started because oh my gosh, every time on the 29 upstairs, I got 2 different hang on the backs on it. Um, and plus there's tons of plants. I really don't have to do a lot of maintenance on the damn thing, but it darn thing. Sorry, but anyway, every time every time I turn off the electric to it, to drain water out, carry buckets because I don't have a pond pump up there like I do down here, and it's too much of a hassle to bring it up there and pump it all out and pump it in and yada yada yada. So anyway, I just use 5-gallon buckets up there. Old school. My back's hurting. I'm almost, or I am 50 people. But anyway, yeah, it's a lot of freaking effort, and inevitably, when I turn the sucker back on, even if I prime everything, some of the impellers just don't want to go. Goo, 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 goo. And I got to take the impellers out and then try to clean my fingers, and then all of a sudden my finger gets chopped. It starts spinning all of a sudden. But then I stick the impeller back in there and it won't go. Or if I stick it in there and it sounds like it's going, I put the intake tube in there, it won't. Whatever. Done. All right. Whew. Whew. All right. Here's my 2 favorite pumps. This is only if you're running sponge filters and obviously probably fresh water. Um, and what I mean by fresh water, obviously, if you're running salt water, you're probably using a completely different system. What do you call it? Subs and everything else. But anyway, I like Aquatop and Danier, but I only like certain ones. All right. I like the Danier AP4 or 8, not the 2 and the 3, I believe, is the other. Um, and the Aquatop AP100 is my all-time fave. But just take a good look down here. I'm not going to read all this stuff, but the Danier AP4 only has 2 outlets. The AP8 has 4. The good thing about both of those, the AP4 and AP8, you have dials on there, where the 2s and 3s don't. So the 2s and 3s, you're going to have to, install gang valves or whatever, you know. But I'm running an AP8 on 6 20-gallon highs. It's definitely less than ideal. Excuse me. Catching a cold, I think. But it's less than ideal. It does work, but man, it's a lot of work. I really wish I'd put the AP8 on only 4 of the tanks and maybe an AP4 in the other 2. Um, but anyway, it'll work. You can see what I suggest. There's the air volumes, which is almost identical But in real world, think about it. Yeah, okay. They're gonna sell you a pump that says, "Hey, this is 30-gallon pump, right?" Well, I don't know what sponge filter you're using. Using a 10-gallon sponge filter, or 30-gallon, or a 50-gallon sponge filter. It takes up, a quarter of the tank because it takes a lot more air to move through there. How deep is the tank? There's a big difference between a 20-gallon long and a 20-gallon high, right? Because of depth, and the more that you have to feed the air, downwards, is the harder it gets on the pump. So, um, like that AP8, for instance, it might be better at 620 longs than 620 highs, and and again, it's really only has 4 valves on there. Um, so until somebody does some more research on here, I think somebody is doing that. Um, I really have no clue, you know, as far as this goes. Anyway, the Aquatop AP100 is perfect for 220 gallons. It has 2 spigots on there, but it's rated for 100. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, both of my 20-gallon highs, it runs them about as well as it can. Um, I have 2 AP30s on 10 gallons, but the funny thing is the AP30 is rated for 40-gallon individually. I tried to run one AP30 on both with a split valve. Man, it just didn't work. Okay? So let's be realistic. My rule of thumb is double everything. So in other words, if something says is for 10 gallons, figure it's really for 5 or 2.5. If something says it's for 40 gallons, figure 20 at best, maybe 30, probably not 40. Okay. Same thing with heaters, with filtration, with sponges. You see a sponge that says it's rated for 10 gallons, probably more or less for 2.5 to 5, because it's still going to have the air supply. So just double everything to have headroom. All right, let me get whizzing along here. Um, I've not even slept today. This is the day after Halloween or whatever. It's just I took about a 2-hour nap, and thinking about Ginger woke me up, and I've been putting this together for a couple hours. All right, lighting. Tons of ways to go here. I'm not going to tell you all what to do. I really don't care what you do, honestly. Um, because most lighting works, but does it work efficiently? That's mainly the question. It's really going to depend on what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to light an aquarium and you don't have live plants, that's one thing. If you have live plants that have low light needs, that's another thing. If you're trying to freaking grow corals, soft corals, that's a completely different beast altogether. But anyway, all the plants I grow, I'm a freshwater guy, is easy stuff. Hornwort, Java moss, guppy grass, and this is what works for me. Y'all can see right there, a cheap Walmart desk lamp. I won't say cheap; those little suckers are, oh my goodness, about 12.50 a pop. Really? Um, but I do absolutely recommend 6500 daylight bulbs. They're Philips. They are rated for 100, but they come in, I believe, at 13 watts or something like that. Um, the reason daylight is important, it breaks through the surface a lot better. Plus, if you're trying like me to sell fish, my goodness, boys, girls, they look 100% better in that light than they do at 5,000, 3,500, 4,500. I mean, I've done comparison after comparison, and the problem is a lot of people, they get starter tanks with those CFL lights or whatever they're called. um, oh my goodness, fish look horrible in there. They have too much yellow to the light. You know, I don't know. It's kind of like if you sit around a CFL all day versus going outside. Your skin, your body is going to look a whole lot different from your cubicle than if you go out in the daylight, right? I mean, you're probably a lot of you ladies are probably gonna look. Well, all you ladies are gonna look, whoo, smashing out in the daylight. But you might not. You might look yellowish or tannish or something, in your cubicles or your CFLs or whatever. Um, but anyway, that's what works for me. Works for the plants. Works for the fish. All right, let's get this thing rolling, baby. Substrate. Look how cheap I am. Very easy. This is the very last thing I'm doing. Play sand. Now that says Sycrete or Sacrete. I go to Home Depot. I think I get 50 pounds for, oh, googly moogly, $4.90, something like that. Um, Now there's also, what's the other sand? It's a little bit whiter. Well, y'all can tell me later on. Um, anyway, it's all fine and dandy, man. I've been using it for years and years and years. Um, it's a lot different if you're going to try to do a soil or, you're trying to raise bottom plants. Keep in mind, the plants I'm trying to do, Java moss and hornwort and all that garbage, um, guppy moss, they don't need substrate to grow out of. Matter of fact, my 29-gallon upstairs, at one time I had flu-ball stratum or flu-ball, whatever you call it. That's fine and dandy, but that thing floated up. Um, I've had that plant. It's an Amazon sword. I've had it for, let's see, 2011. What's this year? Almost 20. So almost 9 years, almost 10 years, whatever. It floats. It just floats throughout the tank, and it still gets all the nutrients it needs, from the feed. And I do some injections of aquarium co-op easy green or whatever it's called, um, and just normal water changes. That introduces new phosphates and yada yada yada. But it is just fine. It's been floating. I don't feel like replanting. I haven't. Now the oyster shell, because mostly almost 90% of the fish I have is either guppies or bristlenose catfish. Although I did find a couple odd and end uh, recent neocardinas shrimp. What do you call them? Red shrimp, whatever you call them, neocardinas. Um, but anyway, they like hard water, so I simply just take the oyster shell, dump a cup or two in, and just wait for about 6 months, maybe dump another cup in. I've not found a really good test for how to measure calcium. I know you can measure GH and KH, general hardness, and what's the K stand for, whatever it stands for. I know you could measure all that. I'm not into all that. But anyway, I just do it as a preventative measure. And that's about it, people. Oops. All right, that's it. Out of here. Later.